Okay, folks, buckle up because today's deep dive is interesting. We're tackling this Poetry Master Competition words or death thing.
Catchy, right.
Well, yeah, catchy in a kind of morbid way, maybe. It's an invitation, but the whole vibe is kind of, well,
That's
unsettling.
definitely not your average poetry slam.
Right. So we've got this competition, weird rules. A host named Stefan who signs off with a little devil emoji, just casual stuff.
Oh, and let's not forget the prize. Books worth over $1,000.
Right. Like what books? Is it a library, a first edition of something? So yeah, we're diving into all of that.
And trying to figure out if Stefan is a poetry fanatic or something else entirely.
Okay, so let's break this down. First up, the rules. You have to write a poem using at least 5 out of 10 words that Stefan gives you,
And you've got to do it fast. The deadline is March 26, 2025.
which is like 2 days from now. Did he mail this with carrier pigeons?
Maybe he thrives on the pressure. Or maybe he just really likes seeing people scramble.
The best part. The consequence if you don't participate.
Oh yeah, the punishment for ignoring this ominous invitation is nothing. You just go on with your life.
Which, now that I think about it, is kind of genius. It's like reverse psychology. You're like, wait, I don't have to do this weird poetry thing, but now I kind of want to.
Totally. It plays on that fear of missing out. What if everyone else is in on this, and you're the only one who didn't write an epic poem about a Tesla crashing into a cat?
Exactly. All right, so let's talk about these 10 words because they're something. Train, coffee, Tesla, shadow, love, fire, fog, clock, cat, and lost.
It's like he raided a dictionary and threw in a few random things from his kitchen for good measure.
Right. There's this mix of concrete, everyday stuff, and then these super abstract concepts. I mean, clock and love in the same poem.
I'm getting existential crisis vibes already.
Me too. Okay, but here's where it gets even weirder. The website emphasizes that the poem has to hit, make an impact. It even says, like, imagine a Tesla crashing into a streetlight.
Subtle, right. I think Stefan might have some strong feelings about originality.
Maybe he's just tired of reading cliche poems about, I don't know, the beauty of nature or whatever.
Yeah.
He wants something that's going to knock you off your feet. Metaphorically speaking, of course.
Yeah, like a punch to the face. But with words.
Okay, and can we talk about Steven for a second? I mean, he's obviously the mastermind behind this whole thing. But who is he? What's his deal?
He's definitely got this, like, casual yet intense energy going on, especially with that sign-off. Be creative. Stiffen.
Yeah, the devil emoji and the fire emoji. I mean, come on.
Maybe he's just really passionate about poetry. Or maybe he's trying to summon something.
Okay, last but not least, let's talk about the prize. Books worth over 1,000 euro. That's a lot of books.
It's so specific, though. It makes you wonder, is there a particular bookstore he has in mind?
Maybe it's all copies of his own poetry collection. Stefan's greatest hits. Poems that will punch you in the face.
We can only hope. All right, so we've got these 10 words, right? And they're not just random, I don't think. Stefan's got a plan here.
A plan. Like a master plan to, I don't know, rule the world through poetry.
Maybe not that extreme, but he's definitely trying to do something, right? These words are designed to make us think, to make us feel.
Okay, so he's playing mind games with us.
Yeah.
Using poetry as his weapon of choice. Fun.
Exactly. And the more we look at these words, the more it becomes clear what he's going for. Look, we've got train, which is like classic travel, old school. Then we've got Tesla, which is all about the future, technology, speed.
It's like he's setting up this contrast, right? Old versus new.
Yeah.
And then you throw coffee into the mix, which has been around forever. It's like the original fuel for creative minds.
And don't forget cat, another ancient symbol. I mean, cats were worshipped in Egypt, for crying out loud. So you've got these old world images, and then you've got words like lost and Tesla.
Well, it's like he's saying, hey, the world's changing, but some things never change.
Yeah. Deep stuff. Right. And then you've got words like shadow, love, and fire, which are all about emotions, about the human experience. So he's blending the concrete with the abstract, the physical with the emotional.
It's like he's trying to create this, like, multi-dimensional poetry experience.
Yeah.
A poem that's not just about words, but about feelings, about ideas.
Yeah, a poem that makes you think, that makes you feel something deep down in your soul.
Okay, but how do you even begin to tackle that in a poem? It's like, where do you even start?
That's the challenge, right? And that's what Stefan wants. He wants us to push ourselves, to think outside the box, to explore these different dimensions of language and meaning.
Okay, but what about the other words, like fog, clock, lost? What are we supposed to do with those? Throw them in a blender and see what happens.
Well, every word has its own weight, its own emotional resonance. Fog is all about mystery, about confusion. It's like you can't see clearly.
Yeah, you're lost in the fog. And then you've got clock, which reminds us that time is ticking away. It's that whole, like, carpe diem thing. Seize the day before it's too late.
Right. And lost, well, that speaks for itself. It's that feeling of being adrift, of not knowing where you belong.
So we've got this whole mix of emotions, these big ideas, and we're supposed to cram it all into one poem. No pressure or anything.
Well, I think that's the point, right? Stefan wants us to struggle a little, to really dig deep and find something meaningful. He's like our own personal poetry drill sergeant.
Yeah, but with a devil emoji instead of a whistle.
Ah.
All right, so we've analyzed these words to death, but now what? How do we actually turn them into a wow factor poem?
That's the million-euro question, isn't it? And I think it comes down to this. Being bold, taking risks, and not being afraid to, go there. Stefan doesn't want cliches. He wants something raw, something honest, something that's going to punch him in the gut.
So, like, forget rhyming love with dove. We need to get a little crazy. Maybe rhyme Tesla with existential crisis?
Exactly. Think outside the box, break the rules, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Okay, so we're going full-on poetry rebels. But let's be real, the deadline is, like, breathing down our necks.
True, March 26 is coming up fast. But hey, pressure makes diamonds, right? And maybe, just maybe, there's a secret hidden in that 1,000 of book prize that will help us crack Stefan's code.
Maybe it's a first edition of How to Write a Mind-Blowing Poem in 24 Hours.
Stranger things have happened.
All right, so we spent a lot of time psychoanalyzing Stefan and dissecting his word list. But now for the big question. What makes a poem a wow poem, like our friend Stefan wants?
Right, he keeps talking about a poem that hits, that's like a punch in the face. I'm starting to think he might have some aggression issues.
Maybe he just takes his poetry very seriously.
Seriously enough to give someone 1,000 euros worth of books for it, apparently.
True. But okay, seriously, what makes a poem truly memorable? Is it fancy metaphors, deep symbolism, or maybe just a killer rhyme scheme?
It's probably a mix of all of that. A good poem has to work on multiple levels. It should make you think, it should make you feel something, and it should sound good too.
So it's like a gourmet meal for your brain, with a side of emotional depth and a sprinkle of sonic beauty.
Exactly. And don't forget the seasoning, a little humor, a touch of irony, maybe a dash of sarcasm.
And a whole lot of crazy because let's not forget, we're dealing with Stefan here, the king of cryptic clues and devil emojis.
Right, he's not just some random poetry enthusiast. He's a bit of a mystery.
Maybe he's a secret agent who communicates in coded poetry.
Or a time traveler who's using this competition to find the next great poet to save the world.
Okay, now we're getting a little carried away. But the point is, there's more to Stefan than meets the eye.
Definitely. But for now, I think we should focus on the task at hand. Writing a poem that will blow Stefan's mind.
A poem so good, it'll make him forget all about punching people in the face.
Exactly. And hey, who knows? Maybe that prize will contain the key to understanding Stefan's true motivations.
Or maybe it's just a bunch of dictionaries.
Or self-help books. How to win a poetry competition and take over the world.
All right. I think we've had enough fun with this for one day. But before we go, let's leave our listeners with a little something to think about. What do you say we recommend that book, Poetry Master Poesy Craft in 7 Taken?
Perfect. If you're looking to unleash your inner poetry master and maybe decipher Stefan's cryptic messages, that's the book for you.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Stay creative, Stefan.